pleasant good Sunday. It is August 3 Central Time here in the United States. And I'm very, very sorry there was a big lull, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, the group of ABS-CBN has been able to get access to these videos, I believe through Charo Santos. But anyway, I'd like to be very clear. We are going full blast. It's just that there's so many adjustments right now, ladies and gentlemen, whether I'm going to go with a certain channel in Los Angeles, a certain channel in Italy, a certain channel in Tokyo, Japan, and the list goes on. Because they love the content. They love the content. They are using all of these types of information in order to become very, very prosperous businesses, not to mention the given society. Because if you are going to listen or read the books of past economic gurus, you're gone. You are gone. And that's why I would like to list all of the companies that went down in America because of using very, very archaic business systems that doesn't work. One is Cons Home Plus. They went down recently. Abuelo's Restaurant, oh my God, the best foods in town. The best Hispanic restaurant went down because of wrong business management practices. They are using systems that simply do not work anymore. But I don't want to get into that right now because I would like to be very specific with companies that are going up in America that are just, oh my God, I'm putting all my money, my funds in NVIDIA. Simply because of the fact that the leadership under Mr. Jensen Huang is simply unbelievable. His principles of management does not use any of this old American stuff that simply does not work anymore, especially on human resource management, because if you're going to hire somebody, do not fire them. Develop them to become something worthy of your given company's time and salary, should I say overall comprehensive compensation package. Because once you fire them, it will destroy your given reputation as a company because you do not know how to develop these people. Hire and fire simply does not work. Today's mantra should be hire, develop, 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 and you will see the revenues, or should I say, the net profit flow that can be attributed to this particular persona or this given individual. And so therefore, I used to work, by the way, with so many of these multinationals, and their mantra is always hire and fire, and they have the gall to say that people are our number one assets, which is a lie. In America, that is the number one lie in the business world, when they say, you know what, guys? People are our number one assets. Oh, really? Tell me about it. Okay? So let me get into my first congratulatory remarks with the new Procter & Gamble President and CEO, Mr. I hope I pronounce his name correctly, Mr. Shailesh Jejurikar. Mr. Shailesh Jejurikar. He got promoted recently, a few days ago, I think about 8 days ago. And he is about to replace another very heavyweight of P&G, Mr. John, without an H, Moeller. And Mr. Jejurikar was able to reinvent the fabric care division of P&G, Procter & Gamble, and at the same time, the home care division. In other words, your clothes will be very, very aromatic if you use the brands of Procter & Gamble in the fabric care division, which is still the number one bread and butter, the number one moneymaker of P&G. And number two would be home care. Okay? So Procter & Gamble uses the best ingredients in the world to make your home so fragranceful, so nice to go home every single day using P&G products. And especially in countries outside the United States, it's a big deal really to have your clothes always in perfect condition, all because of brands like Tide. I use Tide, by the way, ever since, and I had a short stint, about 2 years with P&G in Asia, in the Philippines, and it was really a very successful stint of mine. But I'd like to discuss that in another lengthy video, because I'd like to visit Mr. Jejurikar in Cincinnati to discuss many breakthroughs, especially with the new enterprise markets of P&G. So, going to this very, very hot topic, which is the economy of the United States, it is still in the process of us Americans swallowing this bitter pill. What is it? What is it? We want a fair trade with all of the countries that would like to get a bite of the U.S. market, which is still the most sought after market, precisely because so many of these companies are making billions, if not trillions of dollars with the U.S. market, not the Chinese market. The U.S. market is still the number one market. Why? Because of one thing: credit. In America, the credit system is truly the one that makes the economy go fluid every single second of your life. In other countries, there is no credit. There is no such a thing as credit worthiness. Credit is only exclusive for the wealthy. In America, the middle class and the lower middle class have a chance to get some credit. So, this is a ticklish issue because it resulted into the fallout between the great Tesla superstar Elon Musk and our beloved, you know, I got hit there with that term I called beloved, Donald Trump. I call President Trump as beloved because he is truly loved by majority of the Americans. He's a controversial figure, but I call him the beloved because he is loved by millions of Americans such as myself and my group. So, we are trying to achieve the impossible in America, which is what? To balance the budget in the next 4 years or more. Okay? So how do you do it? You do it by growing the economy. Okay? Very controversial issue. How do we do it? We do it by growing the economy. And by doing this, the great Scott Bessent is doing an Herculean task to make all of the manufacturing corporations in America do it in America and not in China and other parts of the world. I repeat, all these American multinationals and even transnationals is being encouraged by the president and his implementer, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, to do their headquarters of manufacturing operations and all other operations in the United States of America. I'd like to make that very clear, okay? The way to do it is to tax these individuals if they do not do it here. Very simple, but very controversial, because what they're saying right now, especially my other fellow economists, is that this will result into an inflationary trend, which is not happening. Why? Because the U.S. manufacturers and transnational corporations are all moving back to the United States. Okay? So President Trump is right, but we have to suffer initially because of this current economic, I would say, dancing. We are dancing to the left and right, and it is not stable at all. Yes, you are right. To my fellow economists, there are still certain prices that are beyond the reach of the majority of the 300 million Americans or more. And I'd like to stress the fact that this is on a temporary mode only. Once we get the system going, America will be so prosperous that my prediction is that this is going to be the most prosperous America in history since the 1700s. I myself will be investing heavily billions of dollars in the medical hotel in America, not in other parts of the world. It will be here. The headquarters will be here in Oklahoma and other parts of the states, and we will be building like hell the medical hotel. Okay? I'd like to be very clear on that, because I have been maligned by certain people like Lee Rogers and Mindy Rogers, who robbed my brother, Dr. Martin Bautista, more than $7 million US. Do not listen to them, because they're very jealous with me. And I asked them, did I rob anybody in the United States of America? None. Zero. They are the ones robbing me. I am not the one robbing them. I'd like to be very clear on that, okay? So, this is the critical part, because this has never been done in the history of economics. I'd like to be very clear, okay? Can the $37 trillion deficit can be reduced drastically? Yes. But you cannot reduce this the Chinese way. What is that? Every time you make $1 trillion, you pay it under the budget. No. That is completely wrong. You will see the balanced budget not immediately, but in the next 4 years. Because we want to roll the funds and invest it here in America to create jobs that will pay the taxes. And taxes will still be the #1 factor in reducing this democratic budget that exploded for the last 10 years because of the Democrats, resulting to this disaster of 36 to 37 trillion. And I guarantee you, if my plans will be approved, and if Ben Bernanke had approved this when I was in California, this would have never happened. And Bernanke knows that, okay? And I'd like to ask Ben Bernanke to make a statement on that. So it's very clear. Okay? So it's going to be very, very clear. Okay? We're not here to, look funny, like these guys like Lee Rogers and Mindy Rogers, and like this group of Franz Joseph Tabase, these criminals like Wendell R. Managat. I don't know why he's here. Sino ba ang backer niyan? Why did he even enter the United States of America only to steal from me every single day and use my good name? So I'd like to be very clear, okay? I'd like to be very clear. It can be achieved. In fact, I am scheduling my flight to Mar-a-Lago anytime soon, because my reputation is on the line. Everything is on the line here. The directional setting planning systems will be the #1 catalyst to achieve the impossible by balancing the deficit. Ewan ko nga kung bakit nandito si Bangladesh ba yata daw nandito? Si Alcantara na naman. So, I'd like to be very, very clear, ladies and gentlemen. If the President will be using the directional planning systems, it will be very clear every single day that the funds will skyrocket to 20 trillion because of the ongoing investments and revenue coming in. And I hope, sincerely hope and pray that Jerome Powell will finally see the light. Because I know he's a very bright guy. He knows the legal system behind the Federal Reserve branch of government very well, but he still doesn't get the reason why the rate cuts should happen anytime soon, because that will provide enough stimulus that will be sustainable for the next 4 years. And Mr. Powell, the great Federal Reserve Chairman, Mr. Jerome Powell, you can still do it. You can still do it. But you have to shift your legal mind to an economic mind like Alan Greenspan, to see the trend in the next 4 years. Because if you will drop the rates to 3 points, that will be enough stimulus to sustain the economic boom in the United States of America effective September 2025, Mr. Jerome Powell. I hope you see the light. I hope you see the light. Because every single industry will be erupting because of the real estate interest rates. Real estate will still become the #1 industry to reduce the $36 to $37 trillion deficit. So do not listen to these scalawags, these animals, these Filipino crooks who are here to destroy me and to destroy America. And as I've told you, I will tell you what I have done for America and what these animals, I don't know in fact why they're here. And that's why, as I was telling Ben Bernanke, when he was Fed chairman, the Federal Reserve will have a new DNR, duties and responsibilities. It will no longer be the usual quarterly meetings. No, no, no. If the economy is down, if it is on a recessionary curve, the Fed governors must meet every single day to come out with new policies, new programs, and more importantly, to attack the given economic problem of every single state. And I told Ben Bernanke that when I was in Irvine, California, from 2004 to 2006, when the economy was just booming to the hilt. With my company, then DB Services USA, which was copied by another animal by the name of Dexter DeSena, property appreciation, would you believe, in the entire Golden State reached, in my estimate, about 6.3 trillion. Just one state, ladies and gentlemen. Just one state, 6.3 trillion. All because of my initiatives in the private sector. And the way the family of Ben Bernanke under Mayet Bores Mendoza maligned me to the hilt when I was with San Miguel Corporation is considered in the history of San Miguel as the worst atrocity done to a person like me. And Francisco Esmendi can attest to that fact. And now they're all, every single day, the group of Ramon Ang wants to know what's the latest with Gavin Bautista. Not every single day, cada día, señor. Because as I was telling my business connections, the number one worst kind of bankruptcy, the worst form of bankruptcy is what? Intellectual bankruptcy. Intellectual bankruptcy. They don't get it. And I know Jerome Powell, believe me, he's a very, very smart guy. He really is studying the numbers very well, but he does not want to analyze the trending analysis if he reduces the rate by a 4 point, 2 points, or 3 points in the next 4 years. Or should I say 5 years? Because most short-term economic plans are 5 years. Okay? Even Mario Draghi, the great Mario Draghi, when I saw in Canada, the group of them, was asking about this new inventions of mine that will solve poverty, finally, in the world. Because in my opinion, poverty is still our number one problem in the entire world. That's why we have a big war in Russia versus Ukraine. We have a big war right now, up to now, between Israel and the Hamas forces. And up to now, the Taiwanese versus the People's Republic of China is so tense that they are predicting that China will attack Taiwan sometime this year. And why is that? Because of the want of Xi Jinping, the Premier of China, the President of China, Xi Jinping, wants to get China to a higher level of prosperity. He's not satisfied with what he has already, because China wants to be number one. And he believes that in doing so, he must have a united China by conquering Taiwan. That is his mentality, which I think is going to backfire. To attack Taiwan will only create a weaker China in the long run. Because to become the #1 superpower, you must also have the moral fiber to be respected by your fellow trade partners all over the world, all over the 189 civilized nations of the world, because some are already afraid to do business with Russia. Very afraid. And I told that already with the surrogates of the president of the Soviet Union, Vladimir Putin. And believe it or not, I'm very confident that with my plan, the Russia-Ukraine war will end. I repeat, with my plan, the Russia versus Ukraine war will end. And the key will be the non-stop, intense negotiations in Vladivostok to show our sincerity as Americans that we are not siding with the Ukrainians, we're not siding with the Russians, we are siding with who is right. So that the Russians will finally say, okay, I get it. We made a mistake. We should not have attacked Ukraine. What is your plan? Because as I was telling the Russian forces here in the United States, you know, my family way back in the 1960s helped so many Russians in the Philippines. So many. We helped them. We made them rich. We supported them in their time of need. And we made them wealthy. When the Philippines was undoubtedly the #1 nation in Asia. Not Japan, not South Korea, not any of these nations. It was the Philippines. So, in summary, going back to the United States economy, we are predicting that by the end of 2027, there will be more than $20 trillion investments, new investments in America that will build all the products you can imagine, even probably rubber bands, here in the United States of America, in the 50 states of the United States of America, even in its trust territories, because of President Trump. And by the end of his term, I am now calculating how much of the deficit will be reduced. Very complicated economic numbers, because many disagree with me, and as I said, the group of Tesla under Elon Musk was very vehement in saying that we should reduce the budget. We cannot reduce the budget. The budget has to be sustainable in order to create this $20 trillion investment trend that will be achieved by 2027. And thereby, by the end of the term of President Trump, by 2029, the budget deficit will be hopefully reduced, or if I may say, completely fully paid. And if that happens, undoubtedly, beyond a doubt, President Trump will be considered better than any president or any statesman ever in the history of America. From Abraham Lincoln to Thomas Jefferson to what many people consider the greatest president in our era, Ronald Reagan. He will do the impossible. And I will make sure, ladies and gentlemen, 100% sure, that all the cabinet members of the president will agree on this unbelievable new economic system under the planning system, which I call directional setting planning systems. It has been copied already by some, but they're saying it's a Wharton brand of mentality or thinking. Well, I don't know what you want to call it, but all I can say is that the directional planning systems will make that happen. Very scientific, and at the same time, it's very economic thinking. What is that? It is a combination between science and social sciences. It's so beautiful that, oh my God, I think it will be considered the #1 invention of the world, this particular tenure of our beloved President, Donald Trump. Everybody's signaling me right now here, ladies and gentlemen, I have to end this particular sequel. I'm again apologizing because there was a big lull of about 3 weeks because my business in exports, real estate, are all beginning to drum up very good, steady revenues again. I'd like to thank you and adios. Gracias por su tiempo. I'd like to say that America is headed for unprecedented economic numbers that never thought could have been possible. But I guarantee you, it is going to be possible if and only if the directional setting planning systems will be strictly followed. Because even in Oklahoma, 17 years ago, I was laughed at. Lampooned in every manner, as they say in the Shakespearean plays that is modified in version. What? Oklahoma Thunder going to become the NBA champions? Why don't you jump in the lake? We are now the city of champions. And we just got started. And all of the people who maligned my good name are really on dire straits. Really on dire straits. Because I was right after all. Thank you very much. Good night. And expect my other video in a few minutes. But this is the US sequel. Hasta luego. Gracias por su tiempo.